Giant Snowball. Giant Snowball is this 2 elixir spell you unlock from Frozen Peak. It knocks troops back, slows them down, and does some solid damage. Right now, it's sitting at around 3% usage with a 51% win rate in October 2025. Most players skip it entirely because they assume Zap or Log are just better options. They glance at the low usage and think the card's weak, but the stats are screaming a completely different story. For just 2 elixir, this thing chips a decent chunk off the tower, which is honestly great value. It resets charging troops like Prince and Bandit, completely killing their momentum before they connect. Your opponent drops Goblin Gang or Skeleton Army. Giant Snowball wipes the entire squad while slowing everything behind them. It fits perfectly into cycle decks like Hog 2.6 or Expo, where every elixir matters and you need cheap, effective answers that don't break your cycle. But here's where things get actually crazy. The evolution completely transforms this card into something else. It becomes this massive untargetable snowball that rolls across the arena, pulling both ground and air troops into its path with a nasty slow effect. Troops inside the snowball can't be targeted, which is huge for making your cards refocus. This is especially insane with Expo, allowing it to easily retarget onto the crown tower instead of getting distracted. The snowball lines up troops perfectly for cards like Magic Archer to absolutely destroy them. You can even use it to redirect troops if you misplace a structure or if your opponent drops something in the middle to counter your push. Just throw the snowball to the side and suddenly their defense is attacking the wrong lane. It even works with Sparky pulling troops closer to the tower, so Sparky hits both the troops and the tower while getting extra reload time from the slow effect. With good placement and tower support, it can fully counter a balloon for a massive positive elixir trade. You're basically getting tornado value for 2 elixir instead of 3. That's completely broken. But if you think that's underrated, wait until you see what this next card can survive. Good stats for the cost, more like insane stats for the cost, especially with that evolution. Knight is your basic 3 elixir mini tank that you literally get from the tutorial. Like, he's the first card you ever play in Clash Royale. At max level, he's got 2,566 HP and smacks for 293 damage every 1.2 seconds. He's got medium speed, so you can drop him basically anywhere. Right now, he's chilling in the top 20 most used cards with a 52% win rate. People think that sounds just okay, but trust me, this card is way better than those numbers show. Most players see Knight as boring, like the most boring card in the entire game. But here's the thing, he's been meta since 2016 for a reason. He just works every single time. This dude tanks a fireball and a log, which kills pretty much every other mini tank. He can protect your Hog Rider while they chip the tower. He straight up wins against Valkyrie in a 1v1. He can take down Mega Knight with just a tiny bit of help from your tower. He even beats Mini P.E.K.K.A. if you place him smart and kite properly. But the best part, he turns defense into offense automatically. You use him to stop their push, he survives with like 2500 HP still left, then you just drop your win condition behind him and boom, massive counter push. He fits in literally everything. Cycle decks like 2.9 Hog, bait decks, mortar decks, you name it. And in today's spell-heavy meta where everyone's chucking fireballs and rockets, having a tank that just refuses to die to spells is actually cracked. Then the evolution makes him absolutely busted. He gets this shield that reduces damage by 60% until he throws his first punch. That basically means he's invincible while walking to the tower. Your opponent has to use way more elixir just to stop him from connecting, and by then, you've already gotten insane value from a 3 elixir card. He just walks through everything until he starts swinging. Speaking of broken, this next card slows down literally everything it touches. Only 5% of people use him, but the ones who do know, he's secretly cracked. Ice Wizard is a 3 elixir legendary support troop from Arena 12. At max level, he shoots ice bolts that deal 130 splash damage from pretty far away, and every shot slows both air and ground targets by 30% for 2.5 seconds. No evolution yet, which is probably why people skip him for newer, flashier cards. But his base form is still ridiculous if you know what you're doing. He's got a 50% win rate, meaning the people who actually use him are consistently winning half their matches. This guy absolutely demolishes air pushes. Balloon, Lava Hound, dragons, anything flying gets slowed to a crawl and takes constant chip damage the whole time. He can kite tanks like Giant all the way across the arena because of his range and that never-ending slow effect. The slow even stacks with other cards, so if you throw in a tornado, you can group enemies and melt them instantly. Pair him with Executioner and literally nothing survives. Even just Ice Wizard supporting your own balloon creates this insane slow effect where your balloon gets free tower damage because their defense is moving at half speed. He's timeless air defense that works perfectly in control decks and as a way cheaper alternative to Executioner, who costs 5 elixir instead of 3. In late 2025, everyone's running expensive evolution splash cards and pricey air counters. Ice Wizard does basically the same job for less elixir, while giving you that constant area slow that just never stops. People sleep on him because he doesn't have an evolution, but that 50% win rate shows he's still holding his own. He's just completely overshadowed by flashier evolution cards that look cooler, but don't always perform better. This next card doesn't slow things down though. It deletes them in one hit. This card screams pancakes and turns tanks into actual pancakes. Mini P.E.K.K.A. is a 4 elixir rare melee monster from training camp, same arena as Knight. At max level, he's got 2000 HP and deals a massive 1100 damage per swing every 1.6 seconds. That's 687 DPS, which is absolutely nuts. He moves fast too, so he's not slow and clunky like the full 7 elixir P.E.K.K.A. No evolution yet, but honestly, he doesn't even need one to be good. He's only got 2% usage with a 52% win rate, which is honestly wild considering what this card actually does to tank decks. People would rather run the full P.E.K.K.A. or other expensive tank killers, but Mini P does the job way better for way a less elixir. This guy shreds tanks in literal seconds. Giant, Goblin Giant, Golem, doesn't matter what they drop, it all dies crazy fast to his insane DPS. He can briefly distract swarms too, giving you just enough time to respond with a spell or another troop. The real power move, using him on defense to kill their tank. Then, he's walking toward their tower T, and you drop your bandit or ram rider behind him. Suddenly you've got this unstoppable push they have to answer right now or they just lose their tower. Works perfectly in bridge spam in any P.E.K.K.A. variant deck. For 4 elixir, you're getting precise tank shredding power that's way faster and way cheaper than full P.E.K.K.A., who costs 7. In the 21-25 tank meta where Giant and Golem are everywhere, Mini P.E.K.K.A. dominates without the massive elixir commitment that leaves you open to counter pushes. People just overlook him because he seems basic and boring, but sometimes basic is exactly what wins games. Zappies. 3 little robots that nobody uses, but they chain stun literally everything. These are the 3 little stun robots that nobody uses. For 4 elixir, you get all 3, and they just chain lightning everything, resetting attack speeds with a stun on every single hit. They're still waiting on an evolution, their usage is way down, but their win rate is actually pretty solid at 51-53%. That means the people who actually use them are winning. But honestly, most players have literally never even seen Zappies in a match. They interrupt Inferno Tower and Inferno Dragon charges constantly with the stun resets, completely shutting down those defenses before they can ramp up damage. The problem is they're super squishy and die to basically any spell, so you need prediction placement to dodge arrows or fireball. But if you land them right without getting spelled, they generate insane value. They work great with beatdown decks to reset enemy defenses or cycle decks for positive elixir trades. They cost the same 4 elixir as fireball or poison, but give you continuous stun utility instead of one-time burst damage. In late 2025, they punish overcommits really hard because opponents don't expect them at all and don't know how to counter them properly since they never see them. The chain lightning effect is just ridiculous when it connects to an entire push and stuns everything simultaneously. But if you want versatility, this next card literally transforms mid-battle. Cannon Cart. This card is secretly 2 cards in 1, and nobody knows how to counter it. This 5 elixir card is all about tricking your opponent. It drops as a fast-charging shielded melee unit like it's a bandit or something. Then, once the shield pops, it just stops and turns into a ranged cannon. Still no evolution for this one. And again, almost nobody uses it, but it's pulling a 51-53% win rate. The people who run it are getting consistent value because that weird transformation just messes with everyone's defense. It rushes the bridge aggressively, just like Bandit, charging straight at the tower as a melee threat that your opponent has to answer. Opponents drop their melee counter, expecting to handle a melee unit that's going to hit their tower. Then boom, the shield breaks, it transforms into a ranged cannon, and suddenly their melee counter can't even reach it anymore. It becomes this mobile Tesla just sitting there behind your tower line, shooting at everything. They're forced to commit more elixir or waste a spell just to kill it in cannon form. It shines in bridge spam decks and Royal Giant decks where you need pressure cards that can also defend after they're done attacking. The dual phase thing makes it super awkward to counter because people prep for the wrong phase every single time. People prep for melee and get range instead, or they prep for range and it dies before even transforming. The versatility is crazy underrated, especially after the recent buffs it got. You're getting offensive pressure and defensive capability in one single card that most players just haven't figured out how to counter efficiently yet. Speaking of versatility, these next 5 guys get stronger with every single hit. Barbarians. 5 dudes that turn into Raged Elite Barbarians on steroids with the evolution. Barbarians are 5 elixir common melee bruisers that each have 9 to 74 HP and deal 2 to 9 DPS at max level, spawning with this initial enrage buff already active, under a 2% usage normally, but they're packing a 52-53% win rate, which is actually really high compared to most cards. The base card is already decent, just 5 tanky guys that swarm and overwhelm whatever's in front of them, but the evolution completely changes the card into something that's actually broken if you use it right. You unlock the evolution after just 1 cycle and need 10 shards total, which is pretty reasonable compared to other evolutions that take way longer. They overwhelm single target DPS units because there's literally 5 of them attacking at once. They can tank spells pretty well since the damage gets spread across multiple units instead of 1. They fuel these massive counter pushes after you defend because the survivors just keep marching forward toward the tower. The evolution adds 35% attack speed and movement speed every single time they hit something, and this buff lasts for 3 seconds, but it resets on continuous attacks. So if they keep hitting targets, they keep stacking the speed boost over and over, becoming faster and faster with every hit. It basically mimics Raged Elite Barbarians, except there's 5 of them instead of 2, and they just keep getting faster the longer they're attacking. If you pair Evolution Barbarians with Giant or any other tank, they become legitimately unkillable. They're hitting the tank in front of them, stacking speed, moving faster, hitting more frequently, stacking even more speed. It's like permanent rage spell if they just keep attacking continuously. They delete everything in front of them while your tank absorbs all the damage from towers and defensive troops. It's an absolutely disgusting combination that's super hard to stop. But these guys use brute force. This next card uses pure knockback control. Bowler. This guy throws boulders through entire pushes and nobody runs him anymore. Bowler's a 5 elixir epic slow moving tank from Arena 13 at max level. He's got 3000 HP and launches these massive boulders that deal 420 splash damage every 2.5 seconds. His first attack comes out at just 0.5 seconds though, which is super fast. The boulders pierce through everything for 7.5 tiles, which is insane range when you factor in the throw arc. They knock back small and medium ground troops on every single hit. So this guy still doesn't have an Evo. His usage rate is around 2 to 3%, but honestly, a 52% win rate isn't even bad. He's an OG card, been around since 2016, but people just kind of dropped him when all the flashier cards and new Evos took over. He's a wall against ground pushes. The boulders pierce through entire pushes in a line, hitting everything and knocking them all back at the same time. Pair him with Tornado and you can line up enemies perfectly for piercing shots that just delete everything in one throw. Combine with Ice Wizard or Electro Wizard and you get this permanent slow plus knockback control that enemies literally can't push through no matter what they commit. He supports Expo really well by resetting melee troops that are trying to reach it. He works in Electro Giant pushes as the backline tank that clears out all the counters. He's really strong in graveyard decks too for shutting down their defense while your skeletons attack the tower. The buffs from early 2025 made his splash damage and knockback control insane for shutting down ground pushes completely. People still sleep on him hard because he's slow and doesn't have an evolution to make him look cool. But if you need a defensive wall that also pushes forward with your beatdown deck, Bowler is ridiculously underrated right now. Now this next card gives you 3 units for the price of 1. Rascals. For 5 elixir, you get the whole trio. You got the tanky Rascal Boy taking the hits up front, while the 2 girls in the back just melt stuff with their ranged attacks. They're fast, and they're basically a self-sufficient push. And of course, Supercell still hasn't given them an evolution. But here's the wildest part. Their usage is pretty low, like 1 to 3%, but their win rate is insanely high, sitting between 52 and 57%. Most players literally forget this card even exists at this point, but it's low-key winning games. They defend air and ground seamlessly because the boy tanks in front while the girls shoot from behind him. They chip towers really well if they manage to connect during a push. Opponents need Fireball to kill them efficiently, or they need Swarms to overwhelm all 3 units, which means you're getting good elixir value just by forcing those responses. They work like a cheaper version of Goblin Giant in cycle and beatdown decks, providing both solid defense and offense in one package. The boy absorbs all the damage, the girls provide consistent DPS from behind where they're safe. It's simple but super effective for the cost. That 52% win rate hidden by just 1% usage means they're elite tier versatile. They just fly completely under the radar. The 2025 buffs made them even better at defending and counter pushing than before. You're getting 3 units that cover each other's weaknesses for just 5 elixir, which is legitimately one of the best defensive values in the entire game right now. But if you want sustain, this next card literally heals your entire push. Battle Healer. This card heals faster than your opponent can damage in most situations. She's 4 elixir, she hovers, she's melee, and she's way tankier than you'd think with 2500 HP. But the healing is where things get insane. She pulses this non-stop area, heal to everything around her in a huge radius. Oh, and she also drops a spawn heal the second you play her. She's another one still waiting for an evolution, but check out her stats. After the buffs, her win rate is a really solid 52-53%. The catch? Her usage is incredibly low at 2%. People just remember when healing got nerfed into the ground, but she's actually good again, and nobody has noticed. She sustains Royal Hogs straight through spell damage, keeping them alive way longer than they should survive normally. She pairs insanely well with champions like Archer Queen, constantly healing them while they're attacking, so they just never die. The healing makes your troops survive spells they normally wouldn't, completely flipping trades that should go in your opponent's favor. She's a defensive powerhouse because she heals herself and all nearby troops during battles, making it almost impossible to break through her without massive elixir commitment. In Electro Giant or Golem pushes, she just sits behind the tank healing everything, and opponents have to commit way more elixir than usual to stop the push from steamrolling their tower. In a meta where healing is super rare because most healing cards got nerfed into the ground, she flips trades that should be completely impossible and keeps pushes alive that should be dead. 4 elixir for constant area healing in a heal-denied meta is actually broken when you think about it. Speaking of flipping trades, this next card roots flying troops out of the sky. Hunter. This shotgun guy pulls balloons out of the sky with his evolution, and it's completely broken. Okay, let's talk about the Hunter. He's 4 elixir, and he's basically a walking shotgun. If you let him get point blank, his damage is massive. All 10 pellets connect and just delete whatever he's aiming at, and he hits both air and ground. Now, his evolution takes 2 cycles, and it gives him this 3-second root net. This thing is awesome. He fires it every 5 seconds, and it literally pulls flying units out of the sky, grounding them so they can't move. His usage is incredibly low at 1.5%, but he's got a 52% win rate, which just proves that if you know how to use him, he wins. The evolution makes him a hard counter to Balloon and Hog Rider specifically. He shoots the root net, grounds the balloon so it can't fly, then blasts it with his shotgun while it's stuck on the ground and can't move. Same thing with Hog Rider or any other threatening unit that gets too close. He's incredibly versatile in aggressive control decks because he defends really well and also supports your own pushes. The shotgun spread means he's okay at range, but devastating up close, so placement matters a lot with him. People don't realize how much value he provides because the usage is low and he requires good placement to maximize damage. But Evolution Hunter, pulling flying wind conditions out of the sky, then deleting them with point-blank shotgun blasts, is legitimately one of the best defensive plays in the game right now. 4 elixir for anti-air, anti-ground, and tank shredding all in one card is absolutely cracked. But this next air unit doesn't need to ground anything, it just snipes from above. Flying Machine. For 4 elixir, you get a fast-moving air unit with a 6-tile range. What's really good about it is that it starts attacking almost immediately when you deploy it. It's still in the no evolution club. And like these other cards, its usage is super low at 1%, but its win rate is surprisingly decent, hovering up to 52%. Honestly, players just don't remember this card. It got buried by all the new air units, but the fundamentals of why it was good are still there. It snipes buildings and spawners from complete safety because ground troops literally can't reach it at all. It supports balloon and giant pushes perfectly by providing consistent range damage from behind while staying completely safe in the air. It evades all ground targeting troops, so opponents need spells or air targeting units specifically to deal with it. In the current air meta where balloon and lava hound decks are running around everywhere, Flying Machine acts as a stealth enabler that keeps pressure going continuously. It's cheap enough to fit into cycle decks and provides consistent value without being flashy or obvious. People overlook it for evolution air units and dragons that look way cooler, but Flying Machine provides consistent, safe damage that's actually really hard to counter efficiently without committing spells. That 52% win rate on basically 1% usage means the people running it are getting value every single game. It's just completely under the radar in 2025 because it doesn't look impressive. Spirit Empress. This card is actually two completely different cards in one, depending on your elixir. She's still pretty new to the game. Here's her deal, she's 2 cards in 1. If you're low on elixir, you can drop her for 3 as a ground melee attacker, but if you've got 6 elixir banked, you can deploy her as a 6-cost flying unit that's tankier and has range. She's too new for an evolution, of course. But get this, her win rate is already 54%. That's super high. For a card people are still figuring out, she's already looking really strong. The dual form versatility is absolutely insane. Need cheap defense in a pinch? Drop her at 3 elixir and ground melee form and she handles most troops. Want a beefy offensive threat? Wait until you have 6 elixir stored and deploy the Air Rider form for range pressure. She counters most troops in either form and survives Fireball plus a 2 elixir spell in both forms, making her really hard to remove efficiently without massive overcommitment. She pairs with Golem and Giant for sustained beatdown pushes because the air form provides range support from safely behind the tank. You can also run her with Mirror to get over-leveled versions that are even tankier for even more pressure. She's basically redefining the meta because opponents literally never know which form you're about to drop until you play her. That 54% win rate shows she's already strong even though people are still learning optimal usage. Being able to choose between cheap defense and expensive offense based entirely on your current elixir makes her one of the most versatile cards ever released in Clash Royale history. She's a meta redefiner that people are just starting to understand. Subscribe.